Woohoo, recording in progress. What's up, ladies? Look at all the beautiful faces coming back for more of my torture, my verbal vomit. Well, what other kind of vomit would you have if it's not like, like, what is this called? Oh, what is that? Grain? Do you guys see that? This call is being recorded with grain. Do you guys see that, or is that just me? They're watching me, aren't they? All right, I see. Oh, it's somebody's. Okay, it says Amy. Joanne's like, I think so. I think one of you is using something to record the call. Okay, because it showed up in the chat, which is fine. You can, you could do that obviously, but it showed up in the chat as like Grain is recording this. I don't know what that is. All right, so I'm so excited. Week 2. Let me hit admit again. So I'm just going to play like for another minute or so, hitting admit all because a bunch of you guys are coming in all at the same time. What's up? What's up, everybody? All right, let's see. How many people do we have doing cardio right now? Hit the icon or go like this and be like, me, 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 me. We have tons of cardio people. Let me go to my next screen. Hang on. I'm going to make my screen super wide. You know what I need? I need 2 computers. Maybe you guys should tell my husband. He needs to buy me another computer. I need 2 screens so I could see all of your gorgeous faces. All right. Let me make this part wide. Here we go. Here we go. Riders coming on in. Tracy says she's about to start her second list. Oh yeah, Tracy. What time is it for you? Are you at the end of the day? I think you're Eastern time zone. It's hard for me to keep up with where everybody is. Jennifer Vincent. It says Jennifer Banana Vincent. Banana. I'm so crazy. Vanessa says, hi, Stairmaster here. Second list too. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think Hema, did I say it right again? I'm going to have to ask like a few times just to get it, in my thing. So Hema looks like she's doing cardio, either that or she's twerking. It was one of the two. The twerking can be cardio, but let me tell you, have you guys ever actually tried to? Okay, so who has done any twerking yet? I have a video I'm going to upload for you like tonight or tomorrow morning. I meant to do it for like the beginning of week 2 as like a welcome to week 2, but I got a little like, a little distracted. Okay, so for those of you, this is a serious part of the discussion real quick, because I want to tackle this really quickly before we do all the questions, because some of you are actually really doing cardio or twerking for your cardio. So I'm so proud. But I do want to say that twerking in whatever fashion that you do it, right? Like whatever, you don't have to be a professional at it, whatever way that you do it is technically considered high intensity interval cardio. Okay. So it is not lists. So if you are doing twerking, I love that I'm having this conversation right now, by the way. If you are twerking for your cardio, it does not come, it's not pulled away from your scheduled list cardio, just putting it out there so you guys know. And so this would be in addition to your scheduled list cardio. And also like those of you who actually want to try it and do it in your own way or whatever, you only need like a couple minutes. It will wear you down to the ground. I still to this day, I mean, I've been doing it for a few years, but I did take a long break in between the last butt camp and then really like this competition, I started back up again. I still like wheeze like a smoker when I do it. I mean, I have to take like after like a 2-minute song, I'm like, and I'm like, I don't do that with any other kind of cardio. So it's not like my breathing or my cardio status or anything like that. It's like specific to the twerking. It's insane. But if you think about it, you're using your whole body and you're using your whole body to the max. So Hema says you have to teach us. I know I'm trying to figure out how to do the tutorials on how to do it because I didn't learn from anybody either. And I just like do it, but I only have like 2 moves that I do. And then I just alternate back and forth. So I'm like, how do I teach? I don't know how I teach this thing. So bear with me. I'm trying to figure out how to put together like a little cute, fun tutorial or whatever. So Joanne says, I feel so lost on the acronyms. Oh, for the cardio. Okay. very normal. Okay. It takes a while to get this stuff like implanted and remember. So that whenever you see HIIT with one eye, it's just high intensity training. Okay. So HIIT training is basically, you can use that for kind of, if you think of it, like the strength training that we do with TSV is considered like HIIT training, right? So we do very high intensity, but we don't necessarily go fast, right? And I don't mean like if you're in a circuit, obviously you're going fast, but general, like lifting heavy is very high intensity training. You're lifting super heavy, then you're taking a rest, and you're lifting super heavy, you're hitting failure. That's high intensity. Not a lot of people train that way. So you won't really see HIIT training in the true sense of the definition with one eye. And there's a this is a big distinguishable like note here. When you see it with two eyes, they use that. So HIIT, high intensity interval training, they use that more so with cardio. So that would be things like sprinting. So you're taking your heart rate, if you think of it like peaks and valleys, you're taking your heart rate super high and then you're bringing it back down, but then you're bringing it super high again, you're bringing it back down. So there are intervals. And with that kind of cardio, it can be running like sprinting, or you can do it with the elliptical, or you could do it with jump rope, or you can do it with just your body weight, like high knees and squat jumps, and burpees are a good one. So it could be literally anything. And then LISS cardio is the low intensity, steady state cardio. And that's the one that you guys are doing in this program. It is the one that actually helps to reduce cortisol levels, stress hormones, boosts our mood, puts us in this like really good, like feel good state. Some people notice it more than others. And this is how people can get addicted to cardio, not in a bad way necessarily, but just in a way that like you guys will probably notice actually, as you guys get closer to the end of this competition, because you will have been doing like a ton of cardio by then, LISS cardio, you might feel like you're kind of addicted to it. And if you start to feel that way, don't get scared. It's a good thing. It's probably giving you a mood boost, and you're getting like a bit of that, the feel good hormones. And so you'll notice like some people after competitions like this, they will keep the cardio in. They'll slowly like drop it down as time goes on, but they'll keep the cardio in, even if they want nothing else to do with like changing their body, or like they feel super satisfied with what their body looks like, but they'll keep the cardio in. I'm one of those people. I will tend to keep cardio in like once a day, nothing crazy, for my mood. It like calms me down. And so that's one of the really good benefits of LISS. And that's why we always do LISS cardio in these shreds. Because guess what? Everything else about your shred is high intensity stress. So like we need something to calm the stress. And remember, I have said this multiple times in other sessions and even in other competitions, like our bodies are designed for acute periods of stress. So it's absolutely okay that exercise causes a bit of stress, right? And that other things like, meal prepping can be a little bit stressful. It's not bad for your body to have short, acute moments and periods of time where you're feeling stressed out. Our bodies are made and designed to handle that very efficiently. It's only when the stress becomes chronic and long-term and repetitive and constant, and there's no break from it, and that's when it starts to become unhealthy. So I don't want you guys to worry about just in terms of your health, because it is a very real concern, right? Like you guys are doing a lot of work, and it's very hard, and it's, for some of you, it's probably the most stressful thing that you have been under in a really long time, in terms of just day-to-day like responsibilities that have to get done, right? So the LISS cardio, maybe this will be a good thing for you guys to think of with the LISS cardio, is think of it as your chance in your day, twice a day, to reduce your stress. And that's why we don't want you guys using the LISS cardio for like this all out balls to the wall, like crazy, like huffing, puffing, dripping sweat, like going bananas. That's not what it's for. And then, because the other thing too is like for fat burning purposes, which is the primary purpose of this type of cardio that we put in the program, if you go too high, your heart rate is too high, you're burning muscle glycogen, you're not burning fat. You have to be in a lower heart rate zone for the proper amount of fat burning. And then consequently, that's also the best for your stress hormones and the reduction in stress and the boost in mood and all that too. So it all works together beautifully. use your list cardio as your, because I think this could really help some of you, because the timing, and so the duration and the frequency of this cardio is going to rise, okay, as the weeks pass, and you guys are going to start getting a little bit irritated perhaps that it's a lot of time taken out of your day, and if I have to step on that machine one more time today, I'm going to take a long walk off a short pier and hold my nose and hope for the best. Like, I can't do it anymore. But if you reframe the list cardio as, this is my chance to calm down, this is my chance to woosah, this is my chance to like check in with myself. If you have to pick up your phone and play on the phone the whole time, even better. I watch Netflix series during my list cardio. I do all kinds of stuff that really makes me so happy. And that is part of also why the list cardio can calm us down. Because it's like, it's almost like, if you think about it, it's our only chance in the day where it's just about us, you know, like it's just you, unless you have a baby like hanging off your boob, which at one point I did when I was doing my list cardio, and I was literally breastfeeding with a baby up and down, up and down. I mean, as carefully as I could, but like, it's all about you. So take advantage of that. I won't ramble on and on and on anymore about the cardio. But it is, I think if we can reframe the cardio and start seeing it as, yeah, it's going to get upwards of 2 hours a day. And that's going to be hard. Think of it as, I get 2 hours a day to literally calm myself down. How many people do you know can say that? Like, it's going to be frustrating to step on the machine. Yes, because you're going to get really sick of it. But think of what's going on up here. Even if like the fat burning part doesn't motivate you, because sometimes it won't. You're going to be like, I don't care. If I burn no fat today, I'm fine. You know, like use it for that reminder that I get to calm down today. You know, like I get to reduce my stress levels. I get to like play on Netflix and not feel bad about it. If anything else, that is worth it. Dang it. Right? Okay, so let's hit up some questions now that I'm done rambling on and on and on about list cardio. I love my list cardio. I'm just, as soon as I figured out how to trade, like change my mindset on the cardio, it was just so much easier for me to complete my shreds. But it took me a couple of shreds to see it that way. And once I did, now I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like Vanessa, she's saying, you know, got my book today, never have time to read. Perfect time to read. It's a little bit hard if you have a tangible book though, and you're like, well, even with the electronic books, it is a bit hard. But if you're trying to read and you're going up and down, like that might take a little bit of getting used to. There it is. I see it. Yes. So it's the perfect time to read, you guys. And don't have any guilt about whatever the heck goes on during your list cardio. No guilt, zero guilt. Okay. About any of it. It is for you. It's for you to do whatever you please. And I promise you, you're going to learn to love it. If you don't love it yet, because some people really, they're not cardio people, and that's okay. You're going to learn to love it once you change that mindset. So it's going to be really good. Okay, so let's scroll up here to see if let's start hitting up some questions about, we are already in week 2. I love it. So next week, week 3 is our first reduction in calories. So let's get ourselves ready for that. You're not going to feel much of a difference. I promise. It's going to be all up here. Okay, listen, I'm going to tell you guys something that's going to happen. Every time you reduce your calories, your mind is going to like literally like laugh at you. It's going to be like, you're going to be like, I can't function. I need my calories back. Like, this is too much. I can't do this. I have no energy and stuff like that. It's all in your head. Okay. I just want to tell you that it's all in your head, because you're going to look at this reduction of calories. And you're going to be like, I can't put out any more energy. This is just insane. Now, granted, as you go through the program, it's going to be less in your head and a little bit more actual in your body. Okay. Because it's going to drop down pretty low. But the good thing is that by then your body is so used to like using fat stores for energy as opposed to just your food and glycogen for energy. And it's a different feeling, by the way, but you're going to be so used to it that it's not even really going to phase you. I promise. Just try not to pay attention to the fact that you're reducing your calories and focus on the fact that like the reduction of calories is actually helping your body use the fat that's stored up in there to just blow it away. Okay. So it's definitely, it's a mind, you know what, this program, it really is. And if you could tackle that, your body's fine. Your body is totally fine. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Hema says, by the way, I loved your motivational post on the Facebook group. Oh, thank you. I'm so happy. Oh, if you want to twerk, just watch Lizzo. I love Lizzo. Lisa Tucker. I love Lizzo. Okay. She's my girl for sure. And they also have like free YouTube videos where you could follow like little tutorials for like 5 minutes. I mean, they might be better tutorials than me, to be quite frank with you, but I think like just my ridiculousness might make it worth watching. I don't know if you guys can put up with that, but I'm definitely going to figure out how to make it happen. All right. Joanne says, I love that. I need more calm. Yeah, we all do for sure. CT, I have to take off to a business meeting. I hate I'm going to miss this, but can go back and look at it. Can it please be addressed a substitute for tofu seitan if you are gluten and soy free? Thanks kindly. If this can be hit on a little. Oh, yes, we will see you next time, CT. So, well, here's the deal with the tofu and seitan. There really isn't a replacement. I'm sorry. I hate to be the messenger, the bearer of bad news, but it's a bit hard, and I'll tell you why. And honestly, like with the tofu and seitan, you're probably going to have to use like a protein shake in some fashion. Like, so if you're replacing tofu and you're going to use a protein shake for the protein part of the tofu, remember that there's a bit of fat in tofu. So if you're going to make a shake, and this is just what I always did. Like I made it as easy as possible. You know, you don't have to do the shake, but like, this is what we really, because the thing is that you can literally pick any protein source that you want. And there's a lot of options, but to get close to the macros is the part that's going to take some like finagling. And so if you're going to use a protein shake, which is what we usually recommend when you're replacing these things, you can add the additional macro that's missing. And it actually makes it more fun because you can take your protein shake and maybe you can add some chia seeds for the fat, or maybe, and this sounds a little weird, but hear me out, okay, a little bit of avocado for the fat. Now, how do you know how much avocado? And this just makes your shake creamy. If you use like an actual blender instead of shaking, it'll turn it into like a milkshakey type of consistency. So a lot of people like putting avocado in their shakes. So you might be like, well, how do I know how much avocado is equal to like 5 grams of fat that would be in my tofu for that serving? Guess what you're going to do? You're going to pull up your MyFitnessPal or some other tracking thing. There's a ton of them out there, and you're going to literally punch in, like, take a guess, like, you know, I don't know, 50 grams of avocado. And you're going to go through and just pretty much find how much would equal 5 grams of fat. And then you're going to take that number, let's say it's 30 grams of avocado. I don't actually know what it is. And you're going to chop it up and you're going to put it on your scale, and you are going to measure the amount, and ta-da, and that's it. I mean, it sounds a little bit difficult at first, but once you guys are used to making these substitutions, you're going to feel so free, because in a situation where you can't have something, or you're allergic, or like for, you know, whatever the reason is, you don't have to be like, oh gosh, like I have to ask somebody, like, how do I do this? Like blah, blah, blah. And that's going to be more stress on you. Right. So maybe it would be good to just play around with that now. And then that way down the road, later on in the program, like you've already, you know, you've got it super quick. The thing about seitan, here's what's really hard about the seitan. Okay. It's pure protein. Like it's pure protein that has nothing, there's no carbs, there's no fat. I mean, very, very negligible amount, if any. I think there's like literally none of any other macro. It's like pure, beautiful protein. So with that one, you know, your protein shake is probably going to be the only thing that you can have, you know, I mean, in terms of like, now you could, if you wanted to get the, what do they call it? The soy chicken pieces, and see if, like, the thing is, I don't know if there's fat in those or whatever. So you guys are going to have to play around. It's difficult to make substitutions in some ways, but here's what I always did. I always just said, if I'm going to replace something in a meal plan, I'm going to use a protein shake as my base. That's it, right? That's my base. If there's another macro in that thing that I can't have or choose not to have, what else can I throw into my shake to make up for that macro? And I'm going to play around with the numbers, and then I'm going to put that thing on the scale, make sure I have the proper amount, and then I'm going to consume it, and it's good. And I think, like, in a lot of ways, like during a shred like this, when you have so much going on, like that probably is going to be the easiest way to go. Unless you find a packaged food, like a chicken substitute type of thing, and you could see the actual numbers on the package, and then maybe that might be easier for you because you could see it already and you don't have to mess around with some of the other things. But yeah, so that's my recommendation. Let's see. Jennifer Banana. I love it. Every time I say your name, I'm going to be like, Jennifer Banana. Yes, I use it to watch a show I have been wanting to watch and can't with the kids around. Oh yeah, for the cardio. Perfect time to get those kid-free moments with the TV and the shows and the Netflix and all that stuff. It's really, you guys are going to love it. You guys are going to love it. Let's see. Okay. So Joanne says, how do you fit it all in with a full-time job? I find I'm up way too late and I'm not getting enough sleep. Okay, so Joanne, this is a great question. So a lot of people have trouble with time management. And this is a big thing when it comes to these shreds, because if you are not a stickler for managing your time, you're going to have a really difficult time with this shred. Okay, so here's what has to happen. And there are many ways to go about this, but you have to reframe what is happening in these next 8 weeks. So if you're a person who is used to staying up late, like I am, okay, you're used to staying up late, perhaps you have children, that's the only time that you get any quiet time to yourself. And like you have just made it a habit to go to bed late because that's your only time, right? Or it doesn't even matter what the reason is, but that's your habit. You're going to have to take these 8 weeks and you're going to have to literally flip them upside down and do the total opposite of what you've been doing before these 8 weeks. And that is difficult to contend with sometimes, because we are already going into a program like this going, oh my gosh, this is so much. Like, how can I fit everything in one day? And then on top of that, you want me to go to bed early and shorten my day? Like, I can't do that. That is really hard, right? But think of it this way. And this might be the only thing that you might need for some, like for me, this was the one, like the only thing I needed. Okay. I literally, because I know how important it is if I don't get enough sleep to my success the next day. So I literally am like, okay, Vanessa, you're used to going to bed late. This is what has to happen for 8 weeks. If you continue to go to bed late, okay, if you continue to go to bed late, you are not going to recover from that day, all the workouts that you did, all the energy that you expended, because the only way you can recover is when you sleep, and with, good food and sleep help you recover, right? So you're not going to recover from that day. So basically it's going to make that day a waste. You just wasted all this energy, all this time, all this love, because you're not going to recover from that. Then the following day, when you eventually wake up, it is already starting off on the wrong foot. So now you have 2 days that you have kind of like kicked in the dirt. Like they're not going to be optimal days, all because you wanted to stay up a little bit later. So for me, and for some of you, this may be all you need, is like, you have to think of the consequences of doing what you're doing. And the consequences could be the very thing that keep you on track, that help you change your habits, even if it's only for the 8 weeks. Because some of the things you guys are not going to have to continue past the 8 weeks, right? Like not everything that you're doing on this program has to be, and it shouldn't be, a long-term thing. But to think of it in very short chunks. Like maybe right now, Joanne, if you go to bed at midnight, you could say for these first 2 weeks, I'm going to go to bed at 11. And then for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to go to bed at 10. And then for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to try to go to bed at 9, even if you don't fall asleep, because you're not going to probably fall asleep right away, right? But you're in bed, you're calming down, you're woo-saw, relaxing, right? Making sure it's as dark as possible. If you want to watch a little TV, that's fine. Like whatever helps you whatever helps you feel soothed and relax and stuff like that. And eventually you'll drift to sleep. But if you're getting in bed earlier than usual, you are telling your body and your brain it's time to get ready for sleep. So, time management is very difficult, but for me and a lot of like my one-on-one clients is we look at the consequences of like this habit that we're having a hard time changing. And if we don't change it, what could happen? And then constantly remind yourself like this and this is going to happen. XYZ is going to happen if I don't get to bed a little bit early, because it's true. And so you don't want to waste that whole day of all the exercise and all the amazing things that you did that day. You can't recover from that as well. So then you're starting the next day kind of almost like half, I don't want to use the term broken, but like half there, like you're there, but you're not, like you're not fully recovered. So now you're going back to the gym and you're doing more workouts and more cardio, but you haven't fully recovered from the day before. And so it's like continuously ripping off this Band-Aid before this wound underneath is healed. And then you keep ripping off the wound and then it's ripping and it's ripping and it's ripping. And like, you're like, how come I'm not getting any better? Because you keep ripping it off too early and you're not letting it heal and you're doing, so that's the importance of sleep, just specifically on your recovery. That doesn't even get into all the other benefits of you making sure that you just get in bed a little bit early, right? and making sure that your circadian rhythm is healthy so that your mood is better and you're not impatient and you have more energy and more focus for work and things like that. So maybe make a list of all the benefits that you can see in these next 8 weeks if you just slowly back it up and try to get to bed like a little bit earlier and a little bit earlier each time. I don't recommend, usually some people are really good at this, but I don't recommend going from like, if you're like a midnight sleeper, like I won't even get in bed until midnight. And then you're like, well, I'm going to go to bed at 8 o'clock every night from now to the next 8 weeks. Like a 4-hour difference may be a little unrealistic. You'll probably be able to do it for the first couple of days. And then you're going to be like, what was I thinking? And then you're going to feel like a failure because you couldn't go to bed at 8 o'clock when it wasn't necessary to go to bed at 8 o'clock. You just have to take your current 12 and just gradually back it up a little bit, because your body is going to be craving that. And then before long, Joanne, you're going to be so freaking tired. You won't even come to these sessions because you're going to be so tired. I'm just kidding. I hope you do. I want you to. If you guys have to sleep during some of these sessions, it's okay. There are some people in some of the other contests that they're like, okay, I'm falling asleep, I gotta go. Or they'll be in bed, like it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and they'll sign on like from the bed and they'll just mute themselves and and I love it because you guys are like so amazing. I love like all the different like things that you guys figure out to sign on. Like, I mean, the cardio and the half in bed and like somebody's nursing a baby over here and then somebody's at work with their screen over here. I love it. But hopefully that helps, Joanne. And if you need any more ideas for time management and stuff, like you guys are very welcome to post that in the group, and maybe some other people have other ideas and some things that they're doing. Like, remember, we want to lift each other up and make this more enjoyable for each other, because you guys are not competing against each other anyway. And even if you were, who cares? Do it anyway. Help your fellow sisters, right? Always help other people. And it's going to come back to you tenfold. So don't even worry about it. Like, you help somebody with their time management, and this person over here is going to help you with like some meal plan ideas. And then that person's going to help. So everybody's going to benefit from this. And I bet you, like, there are some women in here who have some really good ideas on time management tricks. So, okay. So let's see. If you had to recommend one supplement, which would that be from HEMA? Well, it depends. It depends on if I want to. Okay. So if I was in Buns and Guns, okay. So outside of protein powder, because that's kind of like an obvious, right? I think I would probably, because I don't do the supplements usually. It's just my preference. I'm just not a supplement person. We won't even get into that, but I would probably do the vitamin C. For me, like, I would do vitamin C because for me, it's going to be my immune system support. It's going to help me recover a little bit better. However, I will say that doesn't mean that I'm telling you guys, like, out of all the supplements, vitamin C is like the best way to go. I'm not saying that at all. Just for me, I find more benefits when I take vitamin C, definitely for like my immune system. In a shred, it is very common for people to get sick, especially in the beginning. And so I find that, like, if I can support my immune system with vitamin C, or I do take zinc a lot when I shred. I don't know if we have that listed in here. I think she put zinc in there. I can't remember. But I'll take zinc usually also. And it really just helps keep me from, like, I find that just helps keep my immune system like good to go. Now, if you're wanting a bodybuilding supplement preference, I would pick leucine out of all of them, and or glutamine. So it really just depends on like the thing that's going to be most important for you when you shred. Some people, they just want to focus more on immune system supplements. Some people want to focus more on the bodybuilding supplements and like helping to repair and support the muscle growth and all that stuff. But they all have their benefits. So it's kind of like, just ask yourself, like, what's going to be most important for you? Because you have to pick, one or two things, and then go with that. But they're all amazing, and you can't go wrong, even if you had to just pick one. So hope that helps. All right, here we go. Oh, Candace, the perfect opportunity to watch trash TV guilt-free. Yes, all day. Yes. All right, let's see. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so I'm scrolling here. Let me admit a little bit more here. All right, I want to make sure I'm not. Is almond milk okay instead of soy milk? So Joanne, it is technically, but just check the macros, because the macros are going to be, you just want them to be as close to the soy milk, and the brand that we have like listed with the macros that we have listed, just try to get as close as possible. It's not a huge deal. Like you're probably going to find that almond milk has like a little bit more fat. But make sure that you're checking per serving. That's the mistake that people make. Listen, before we get into the next question, I want you guys to pay attention to something. When you are replacing things from the meal plan and you're trying to match macros, remember that your brand of something may not measure the serving the same as what's in the meal plan. So if the meal plan says you can have like 50 milliliters of, soy milk and the macros are XYZ, and you go to replace it with almond milk, but your almond milk measures in like 30 milliliter increments or something like that, and you're not making those necessary changes to your calculations, big no. But this is not something that you guys would automatically know, because people don't know that. So like between brands, the measurements are often different. And then even like, between liquids. So you could have like one liquid of like almond milk and it could be like the same exact brand as like this liquid of soy milk. And then they're measuring, even though it's the same brand, they're measuring in like completely different, like, amounts. So definitely check where it says serving size on the nutrition label, check the numbers to the, protein, calories, fat, all that stuff. And then compare that to the meal plan and make sure that you're paying attention. So whatever it says in the meal plan, you are going to make sure that the serving in your replacement matches the serving in the meal plan that you're trying to match, and you're changing the numbers accordingly, just to make sure that it's close. And then from there, you divvy out the amount that you need as you're eating it, or, the night before or whatever, as you're preparing for it. So, very, very important, because this is a mistake that I made, I think, with not my first one, because we didn't have any like meal plan stuff, but I think it was probably in butt camp, where I didn't realize that the almond milk that I was using was like the milliliters were like way different, serving size. And I was like, oh, I'm just looking at the nutrition label, because that's what you do, right? You don't even think that it's going to be a different like serving size. And so, thankfully I caught it, and it wasn't a huge deal, but it can be a big deal, especially if you're doing it with multiple things. So just make sure you check. And that's always going to be like, whenever you're questioning something, like, can I have this? I don't know if I can have this or that. Just look at the macros. As long as the macros are like as close as possible, the answer is yes, for the most part. I mean, Sour Patch Kids may have the same macros as rice, but like, not that I would know or anything. I have no idea. No idea. All right. So let's see, when we're towards the later part of the shred with low calories, can we still push ourselves with weight training, or are we supposed to do lighter weights? I love this question. Okay. So Hema, ideally, here's what I would say. Okay. I would say, try not to have anxiety over the parts of the program that haven't come up yet. But this is a very real concern that could even start happening like by next week, because it's your first calorie drop. And this is a perfect segue into that discussion, because the mindset, remember, like whatever your mind perceives as reality, your body's going to follow what your mind thinks. So when you guys come up to your calorie drop next week, it's going to be your first calorie drop, and you guys are going to be thinking that, oh God, I can't really like lift as heavy. Oh, last week I was like a little bit heavier, and this week I'm not. And I know it's because of the calorie drop. And by the way, like that could actually be your reality for the first couple of days. Like, this, I'm not like, there's humor involved in it, but this can actually be a reality. But I want you guys to just be cognizant that the calorie drop is not huge, and you shouldn't really feel much of a difference. It's just that you do have to get your brain used to knowing that a change happened. And so for those first 2 workouts, usually, the first couple of days, like your brain is going to fool you. Okay. So be aware of that. You are not supposed to. Okay. So here's what I will say. You're not supposed to technically lower your weights. Okay. I want you to try really hard not to, but realistically, you're probably going to have to later in the program, like towards the last half. I wouldn't expect any of you guys to be, lowering your weights at week 3 or even week 4. Okay. Honestly. So check in with yourself. Now you're going to have some days where it doesn't matter what you eat or what you do. You're not going to be able to push as hard. Okay. That's completely normal. They should be very one-off days, unless you're coming down with something and it seems to linger and you're starting to get sick. Completely different story, of course. But ideally, what we want you guys to do is to really like push as hard as you can, but also recognize when, you know, you're at the last, you know, the later half of the program, realistically very depleted. Perhaps like your sleep is being disturbed, and so you are more tired, which makes you weaker. But the way that it was designed, you're not supposed to intentionally lower the weights, because here's the thing: you guys are going to be using more fat stores as fuel than you've ever been used to doing. Unless you've done another shred, right? So when we use fat stores as fuel, it is very different. It's a very different feeling than when we use our food as fuel, because the food and the muscle glycogen is instant energy. It's a bam, bam, I feel good. Everything's contracting the way it's. But when you're using fat stores for fuel, it's different at first. And then some people actually prefer that feeling of the lower carb, depleted fat store energy. It's all good for your body. It's all perfectly fine. It's just, you're going to feel that when you're not used to that instant hit from carbohydrates, right? Like you're not using your food as energy, like especially first thing in the morning. That's why some people really don't do well with like fasted cardio or like any kind of like fasted movement, because they're like, I'm so slow. I feel so slow. Like, this is so weird. Their body hasn't been used to, you know, that lack of instant energy, right? You can absolutely still do the very same things. It's just, what is your body used to? And it's very uncomfortable to do something new and that you're not used to, and you know, very unfamiliar stuff. So very good question. I'm glad you asked that, because that's going to be something that I think is going to be really beneficial for you guys when you start week 3, like that first calorie reduction. Okay, let's see. Bloop, 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 bloop. Where did I go? I lost my, oh, she's talking to Hema. Yeah, she's saying, somebody's answered your question, keep pushing to your 100% always. Yeah. So that's the thing. As long as you're pushing, you're giving it all you've got. Some days you are just going to naturally be at lighter weight, and it's okay. I'm just scrolling in the chat, so bear with me one second. I love all these. You guys are amazing, answering each other's questions and answering them correctly. Like Tracy's like, almond milk has more fat in it, but it's your own choice to adjust. Oh, bravo. Seriously, I love you guys. It's so great. I always love seeing when you guys help each other in the groups as well too. All right, so let's see. Blum, 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 blum. I find I only finish everything by 11 or 12 without any other filler. By the time I get home from work, it's already late. Oh, is this on the later in the day? Oh, see, I need to go my chat box, because I was like, I had it kind of paused at the last question that I was at. So sorry about that. I missed it during our moment, Joanne. I missed our moment. All right. Let's see. So Tracy says no zinc. Yeah, I couldn't remember if she put zinc in this one. You guys can totally take zinc if you want. Really good for your immune system. I do. You might want to check. The Protein Works, I think, has zinc. Double check, because you'll get a good discount on that. I'm pretty sure my zinc is from the Protein Works. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. All right. Tracy says, struggling with how many smoothies and shakes there are this week. Doubled the 2 Wonder shakes, 4 scoops in 1 smoothie, the 200 milliliters and a coffee. Tracy, all I have to say is I hope you have a toilet nearby, and I hope you know how to run, because the struggle is real. But realistically, guys, I know it is kind of like super hard for some people to like drink a lot of protein shakes and smoothies and like liquid stuff. But here's the good thing. I'm going to bring up like a really good point about this thing, is that you're getting so much protein without the calories that it's actually helping you with it's helping you be able to eat more actual food, right? Because the protein shakes are not loaded with fat and carbs, and mostly it's just protein. So if you think of it in I'm a huge fan of like thinking of things in like different terms, right? Like not really kind of like the negative aspect, but trying to flip it realistically. So if you think of it as, this protein shake is helping me be able to eat more like yummy, fun food later on in the day or earlier in the day, whatever part of the day, right? Because it's allowing me to have a huge chunk of protein without all the calories and everything else coming with it. So it is, you know, it's something that your muscles need because you're expending all of this energy at the gym. The protein is what I mean. But the liquid part of it, there's nothing really we can do about that part. You're just gonna have to be like your bladder, just talk to your bladder, tell it it'll be okay.
I think, Vanessa, it was okay to talk.
Yes, absolutely.
I totally get taking the shakes, and this is one of my mistakes this time last year.
Yeah.
Is if I hadn't done the strength training, I thought, oh, I don't deserve that protein shake because I haven't done the strength training because I started 2 weeks late. So this time of totally sort of taking it on board that you've got to get those calories in regardless, otherwise obviously you get that depletion from the start. But so I don't think it's the liquid. I think it's just the constant, here's a shake, here's a smoothie, here's a shake, here's a smoothie, then there's the food and another shake. Whereas last week I didn't struggle at all. And over the 8 weeks in January last year, that was my first time taking shakes. So I find what works for me now with plenty of ice and putting the coffee in and getting the consistency I like. But I think it's the kind of constant drip feed of the smoothies. Just the plan this week of the smoothies and the overnight oats and 2 shakes. Like, how am I going to fit that many shakes and smoothies and oats and meals in? I think it's more of that. Like the kind of frequency of like, oh my God, I've got to have something else now. You know, and I think I'm struggling with that already this week.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, it's very normal. Like it's not strange that you're feeling that way. And also like for some people, they get really annoyed with shakes very quickly. And, you know, I think for you, because you've already done it before in a previous program and you're starting to get to like these places where you are scheduled to have a lot of protein shakes. And so you may just be getting sick of them, honestly. And you know what, that's okay. Like, that's totally okay. But I want to remind you, for those of you that are, because you're not the only one in feeling this way, I promise you.
I was just kind of wondering if there was any downside of me doing that. And I hadn't thought about actually getting constipated or anything like that.
No, not at all. I mean, unless there are very few like medical concerns, and you would know if you had one if you weren't able to handle like a lot of protein and stuff, but it's completely fine. And you're staying so hydrated and your muscles are soaking it all up, like you're perfectly fine. It's just, you know, like realistically, the mental aspect is the worst part. It really is. But I think even once, let me pull up, I think even once week 3 starts, it starts to calm down a little bit. Because you'll have like your post-workout smoothie and then the 2 scoops at night. So it'll calm down again.
And I was fine last week, absolutely fine, because it feels. I take the post-workout smoothie to the gym, have that straight away, and then by the time I get home, then you've got, you know, that extra one, or, you know, obviously depending on if there's going to be a big gap between, or I haven't had lunch and I'm training, I'll maybe have it before. So I think it's just the continuum of the drip feeding, how many of them there are.
Absolutely. It's can really drive you crazy. It really, like, and I'm one of those people that I used to be the same way. Like, I can't do the shakes. Like, they were just driving me crazy. But then I also didn't have time to cook all the food. So I had to be like, okay, Vanessa, like you're getting a little ridiculous. Like, just, you know, and I'm not saying you are getting ridiculous. I'm just saying in general, we have to realize like that not every part of the program is going to be like enjoyed in that way. And it is helping you keep, like, if you think of it, just like, it is really helping you keep that drip feed for your muscles. That's the best thing that you can have right now, without worrying about all those calories, you know?
So I'm trying to just trick my brain at the moment. And still get it in, because in reality, because I'm putting the milk and the shake in for the one, what would be the evening snack, and then the extra 2 scoops in. And then I'm adding a coffee and a bit of water. I'm probably having the same volume, but because I'm having it all in one big hit, it just feels more manageable.
That's exactly what you should be doing. Like, find ways to make it more manageable, even though it's the same amount of volume, right? Like, anything that you can trick your brain into doing, even if it's like putting more ice in it to make it thicker and eating it with a spoon, like treating
That's what I did with breakfast smoothie this morning. I'm just eating it with a spoon. So.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
definitely. You know, you
Okay,
have to
cool.
play around. Yeah, you're totally normal. I'm glad that you brought that up because, you know, sometimes we wonder, like, is anybody else like feeling really annoyed with XYZ? And it's, you know, it's good to know that it's like, it's totally normal. But yeah, I think it'll get
Brilliant.
better too as the weeks go on and you start to be like, I don't even care what it is, just shove it down my throat. I'm so
I'm
hungry.
sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. I'll let you get on to the next person.
Yeah. So
Okay.
hang in
Thank
there.
you.
It'll get
Thank you.
better. It'll get better. And if it doesn't,
Yeah.
well, you still
I'm
have
gonna
to do
hang in
it.
there anyway.
You just gotta do it anyway. All right, let's see here. If you guys hear some weird noises, it's my dog. He is like the loudest walker. He's just like with his claws, like, and we have all the hardwood, so that's the just to try to ignore it. Okay, so let's see. Why do I make these weird noises when I'm reading your things? UK law has. Oh, yeah. So if anyone needs help with this, Tracy says, she's happy to message me. I'm a clinical nutritionist, so I'm used to these. Okay, so yeah, UK law per 100 grams. Oh gosh, that's, yeah, my brain hurts. You guys can, yeah, she's just talking about the nutrition labels when we were talking about like comparing. All right, dun, dun, dun. Jacqueline, I love the way you spell the Jacqueline. I tried to do chin-ups at the gym today, and even with 2 rubber bands, I was only able to do 3. Not to mention, I felt like the halftime show. Is there a way I can build up to chin-ups so that I don't have to ask a stranger to help me get into the rubber bands? So you technically, okay. Yes and no. Because the best way to build up to doing the chin-ups is to literally get in the rubber bands. Now you could use the chin-up machine. Okay, if you find that easier in terms of like, if you have access to one of those, oh yeah, you don't have. So yeah, don't even worry. Like anybody else who wanted to switch, you could use the chin-up machine. However, I will say using the bands is actually better than the machine in a lot of ways. It really does make it so that you are pushing with everything that you have, or pulling technically, right, with everything that you have, and it's less of a chance of kind of like cheating your way through the rep, which yes is harder, but it's also so much better for you building up the capacity to do an actual chin up. So this is one of the hardest exercises known to man, just so you guys know. Chin ups and pull ups, they are literally like the hardest. I mean, unless you get to like calisthenics, like level, you know, the crazy stuff that people do like with one arm and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. Just, you know, gym wise, workout wise, like this is probably, I would say, like the hardest exercise. And a lot of people will go their whole entire lives never being able to do one. So first of all, the fact that you could do 3 with bands already is amazing. I'm serious. Like I'm dead serious. There are a lot of people in here who are not yet able to do 1, and that's also okay. Like, this is very hard, even with 2 rubber bands, even with 3 bands. If you can't do 1, that's absolutely okay. So what I would recommend is build up the courage to not give a flying, you know what, about asking a stranger to help you. Seriously. And also too, like, you know, another thing, because this is going to help you down the road in the gym, when you have to ask somebody to help you with something and you get used to asking, then asking becomes no big deal. And you do end up getting a lot more accomplished when you can ask somebody to help you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I know that it's weird. It's hard to ask people, you know, especially people you don't know. You're like, can you help me get into this band? Like, I don't want to smack myself in the ass. I'm like, can you just make sure I don't die here for a second? Like, it's weird, right? Like a lot of people, we don't like that. But just kind of try to keep in mind that the more you're able to ask without fear of judgment and awkwardness and all that stuff, it's only benefiting you, because you're going to get more and more used to the action of like getting in the band. And then before long, you may not even need the person to help you. You'll just be like, take your foot, like, you know, like you are going to be like bossing those bands all up and down town. But in the beginning, needing help is very normal. Give yourself some time to get used to that. You could potentially even buy your own band from Amazon that is maybe longer, so that when you can tie it off to something, you can step into it. And so it would be thicker. So it's thick resistance, but it's longer. So then maybe you can step into it easier. And maybe, and like the good thing about Amazon though is when you buy these things, take it there and try it. And if it doesn't work for you, just return it until you find the right, like you may have to play around with some different lengths, because maybe the ones that you have access to at the gym are too short and you're not able to pull them down all the way to get into the darn thing. Or you're tying it up on a Smith rack that's like super tall. Maybe you have to find something else that's like a little bit shorter. Or you can use a bench, step on the bench, get your foot in there. And then when you go down from the pull-up, just keep your legs more bent so you don't slam into the bench, you know, kind of try to like play around with some different things like that. But overall, I would actually, Jacqueline, were you here last week in any of my calls? Because you know what I'm about to say.
I didn't know there was, but I've been listening to the replays, so I
That's
think I
hey,
did
that's
hear your
okay.
replay.
Remember when I said getting used to discomfort and how that can help us build our discipline? So I would actually challenge you to purposely seek out like asking some strangers for help for a little while and like get that out of the way. But seriously, like just get it out of the way. And like
Okay.
make a big joke out of it. Be like, listen, I'm afraid I'm gonna smack my ass with these bands. Can you just hold them for me? And like make the person laugh. And I swear it'll be the best like moment of your workout. That like seriously, like try to make like the dorkiest joke. Just be like, I don't want this to go up the wrong area. You know, can you please just make sure I'm safe? That's all I need. And then as soon as I get in, you can walk away, whatever. Like, you know, just be silly, be ridiculous. Like, don't take it too seriously. But like that discomfort in the moment of asking a stranger to help you with something like that, like we run from that, right? So I want you to run towards it. Just use this as your little discipline meter. I'm not saying that you are not disciplined. That's not at all what I'm saying, but like use it to help you build, you know, that capacity for handling discomfort. Because the more that you can get used to that, the less you'll run away from it, and then the more successful you'll be with everything. So that is my TED talk for the evening. You're
No,
like,
that's
dang,
good.
I'm only asking about chin-ups, and she went on a rampage about discipline and everything else. But you know, seriously, I like to remind you guys of that, because you know, it's the discomfort of something like that could really hold you back in these next 8 weeks and even past this program, because you're always going to need help with something, especially when you're new to it, or especially when, not even if you're new to it, but like you've reached the next level of it. Right. So like if you go from 2 bands to 1 band, now you're going to be like, oh crap, like I have to pull a little bit harder on this, or I don't have to pull as hard on that. And you have to get used to it all over again. So like, and then over time, you won't really need much help until you need a spotter on your failure set or something like that. But then by that point, you're going to be like, oh, I'm so used to, I've been asking strangers for like 2 years. I got that, like, no big deal, you know, like really. So it'll benefit you a lot. Just get used to it. But the fact that you're already doing 3, seriously, that's awesome. So keep it going. You're doing everything right. You
Good
got it.
ideas. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. All right, let's see. Oh, iPhone Amanda, she says LMAO, shakes and smoothies, so many, very comical. There will be a day when today will be a good old day. That's right. See, you guys can think of this as like 9 weeks into the future. When you look back on these moments, you're like, man, I drank a lot of freaking shakes and I got through that and it was great. And I was peeing all over the place and it was fine. And I got through that. But you know what? Like the confidence that you're going to have because you guys did this, unmatched. Okay. Every time you get through something difficult in this program, you're going to look back at that moment and be like, dang, I did that. I did that. You know, like the confidence is so worth it. It's so worth it. And then the next time something really difficult comes along, you're going to be like, I used to drink 7 shakes a day. I don't really care. Like this, I got this. Okay. Like really. So just remember like your future self. What would your future self think of you? Ooh, that's a good one. I am on it with this. Like, what would your future self think of when she looks back at this moment? Will she be disappointed in you of the action that you did or did not take? Would she laugh at you? Would she be like, dang, you had that chance and you didn't take it and blah, or would she be proud? Would she be like, hell yeah, you did that. And now you could do this next hard thing. And then you could do that hard thing and you got this. And the next competition that Kim does, you're going to do that too, because you got it. Like, right. So just think of that. How they say, like, you can write your own story. You just have to pick up the pen, right? I know it's so cheesy, but it's true. It's true. Like you guys are in full control of this and the experience that you have. But we're with you 100%. I know, like I try to be silly and funny and stuff, but you guys, you guys are doing something really hard, and we are beyond proud of you guys for taking just the step and getting to this moment in week 2. And you know, every time that you wake up another day and you stick with it, like, we are so proud of you. We're rooting for every single one of you guys, and we know firsthand how hard it is to be you. And that is like, you guys inspire us. Like, you guys inspire the coaches to be better, to do better, to learn more, to help you guys. And like, when we see you guys working hard like this and asking questions and really giving it like everything you've got, and trying to do the best that you can, it's like, you inspire us to do the very same thing. So thank you for being, you know, for being you, and for being here, and for trying. And we're with you. Okay. There's no such thing as a stupid question. There's no such thing as, you know, feeling too embarrassed about something. It is, we've all been down this path. We've done almost every single Kim Constable shred. I don't even say TSV shred anymore now. I'm like, Kim Constable. She's like, these programs are insane, but we love it, right? Like, we come back for more and more and more because she's awesome and her programs are awesome, but really because you guys are awesome. You guys are what make this entire community what it is. Like, without you guys, we would not be here. So keep inspiring us. I know it's kind of weird to think about, right? You're like, we're inspiring the coaches. Yes, you are inspiring us every single day. You guys are doing things that, like, sometimes we're like, man, like, they are killing it, you know? And it's hard. It's hard. I just want you guys to be proud of yourselves, because even though it feels like a struggle and it feels like you may be doing everything wrong, guess what the rest of the population is doing? They're not doing what you're doing. And that's not putting them down. That's just the reality of the situation. They're not doing anywhere close to what you guys are doing. So keep that in mind, because you guys are awesome. Okay, so let's hit up a few more. Ryder says, did I hear y'all are putting the protein powder in coffee? I think you did hear that. Yep. And they're doing the protein powder in the coffee, or the coffee grinds in the protein powder. Oh, I don't know. Is that, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing over there? Yeah, in every competition though, people mix their coffee with their, oh yeah, Tracy said, me, I'll tell you.
Me. It was me. I learned in the last shred, this time last year, when everyone was going, oh my God, I can't eat these protein shakes. Someone suggested pouring your cup of coffee in. So you combine your coffee with your shake. So literally just pour your cup of black coffee.
Oh, the liquid of it. Yeah.
The whole black coffee that you would normally drink, pour that into your protein shake. And it's like having a latte.
There you go.
And then you also don't miss your lattes.
There you go.
So when I'm struggling a little bit to sort of go, oh, I gotta eat my protein shake late in the evening, or it's really nice to use it with getting a little bit of energy. So you've got your protein and your caffeine, because I'm not very good on caffeine pills. So yeah, having the protein shake to get the protein to feed my muscles for the exercise, and chucking a coffee in means I get my caffeine hit and the protein hit as well. Especially if a lot of people were doing it if they train early in the morning for the strength, because then you've got your caffeine hit to get you going and your shake without filling your tummy up.
I love it.
So that was the idea, and I just enjoy the shakes more as well. Yeah. Anyway, that was the tip I got from the last shred this time last year.
See,
so nice.
We are full of tips left and right. And you know what is great is, like, you guys really are giving each other most of the tips. It's like, and that's the good thing. That's why I encourage you guys to really like help each other, because doesn't it feel good to know that like somebody gave you that tip and now you're sharing this tip with somebody else who, like, you literally have just made their entire 8 weeks. It's like, you know, and it feels good to be able to help somebody else with something. So okay, so let me see. CML. Oh, she came in late, so she said if this has been covered, please skip. She says, I love the overnight oats and Kim's smoothie, so filling. The problem is I've been forgetting to eat lunch, and then at 7 p.m. and I still have lunch, dinner, bedtime smoothie, and to eat all at the same time. Is that bad for results, or is it fine? It's actually totally fine, you guys. If you guys are so full from something and then all of a sudden you look up and it's like 6 hours. Now, here's the thing. Ideally, we don't want you to train during that time. Like, if you like don't train, you know, if it's been like 3 hours or so since you've had food or whatever, but whenever you guys can cram those calories down your throat, cram those calories down your throat. I don't care if you eat like 6 meals all at once. If your stomach can handle that, by all means. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, preferably, we don't want you to go and fast for like 12 hours a day, because that's not going to be good for your muscle tissue. Your muscles need that constant drip of nutrients. Okay. However, every so often, if you just forget to eat and you're like, you get to the end of the day and you have to cram in like some couple of snack meals and a meal, that's fine. You guys are totally fine to do that. Just, I would say a little warning for those of you who may have like crazy work schedules and you think that this may be an issue like long-term for the duration of the program. See how you can finagle your schedule to maybe bring like protein powder in a Ziploc bag and then have your cup already set up at work. And then you can have like a bottle of water and then you could just like, and then like chug it, like, you know, cause some people aren't allowed to eat while they're working, you know, stuff like that. So if it's something that you feel will be a regular occurrence, you definitely want to, you know, try to figure out how you can, just for your own sanity and the way that your muscles are getting nutrients, try to have like a more constant feeding schedule. But every so often, if you're like, I'm so full, I can't eat, it's absolutely fine. And if you want to eat the majority of your calories right before bed, do it. There's actually a trick that I tell. So some people in a shred, they have trouble sleeping. They get insomnia. Very, very common actually during a shred. It usually happens like more towards the later half of a shred. So just FYI, if you guys are noticing that you have like some trouble with insomnia or just having a bad day and you can't sleep or whatever, I mean, it takes a little bit of pre-planning in some ways, but save the majority of your carbs for right before bed. And you will, you will knock yourself out so fast if you eat the majority of your carbs before bed that insomnia will be a non-issue. So this is for those people who tend to be insomniacs on a shred, and they can plan their meals that way, right? So, excuse me, if you notice like you're starting to have trouble sleeping, save, you know, I would do like 50-50 because you want 50% or like a large portion of it to happen after your workout, after your strength workout, and then maybe save the rest of your carbs. Just eat it with your dinner, like right before bed. And it will help you sleep beautifully and it will keep you asleep and it'll be amazing. But yeah, anytime, whenever you guys can like just shove it down your throats, do it. Don't worry too much about the timing and trying to be perfect with that. We just want you guys to get the calories in, like just get them in however you can. Okay. iPhone Amanda says, what's the difference between a chin up and a pull up? Great question. So a chin up is using a lot of biceps. Okay. So your palms are facing your face. They're towards your face. And then a pull up is just an overhand grip. Your palms are facing away. So it's more of your lat muscles and it's exponentially harder because you don't have as much of your biceps to help you. So your biceps are like your secondary helpers. And so anytime you have more additional helpers with a muscle group, with an exercise, it's a tad easier in some ways, right? Because you have helper muscles, but the pull-up, you're not really using a whole lot of other, it's just all back and grip strength. And so we tend to find that women have the hardest time with pull-ups because we don't naturally have, you know, obviously there are outliers and some women have great grip strength and you can build your grip strength and all that stuff, but usually our grip strength is a problem. And then like our lat strength is usually like needs a lot of help. And also just FYI, like chin ups and pull ups, they're like, I would say probably like 85% core and the rest back. Like it's not even as much back as it is core. Like if you guys feel like your core muscles like ripping to shreds when you're like pulling yourself up, like your core should be so tight you feel like you're giving birth. I'm just saying. If you've never given birth before, welcome to the pain because it sucks. Okay, I've given birth too many times. So it is brutal. And if you have, by the way, just given birth and you feel like if any of you guys are postpartum, this is just a side note, and you feel like I would say if you're within like 12 to 16 weeks of giving birth or something, you may have to switch up the chin ups and pull ups for something that's not so hard on your core. Just saying, because like in all seriousness, like I had diastasis after my pregnancies and stuff. So where your ab muscles are like ripped, I couldn't do pull-ups or chin-ups for a very long time until that was healed. So, and if anybody is postpartum or if you have any questions and you're like, I don't know if I'm too close to being postpartum or not, consult with your doctor first, your I was going to say pediatrician, your obstetrician, OB doctor, whoever it is, and just see if you could even do the pull-ups and chin-ups if you're in that category. That's just like a little side note because I want everybody to be safe and it is so much core and it really is like you have to really be paying attention. So make sure that you guys are bracing your cores and you're breathing, like doing like full breaths, like in and out. The hardest part of an exercise, just as a little FYI, you should be exhaling. Whatever the hardest part is for you in an exercise, you should be exhaling. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's going to help a lot with just the feeling of the exercise, how difficult something feels. Because if you are trying to inhale when something is really difficult, like physically, it's like the blood flow gets stunted and you could potentially like feel weaker in that moment. And it just becomes like more suffering than you need. And there's already enough suffering in lifting with all this heaviness and craziness in all the good ways, because that's what we need. So, all right, let me scroll down this way. Oh, you know what? I just realized you guys are all answering her anyway. I love you guys. And I'm so sorry that I'm delayed, because like as the messages come through, I don't want to lose my last question so that I don't see that you guys are all answering everybody. Oh, I have to figure out a way to manage the chat where I don't miss your questions, but where I can also see if these questions are being answered. Yeah, and Cobra grips also. Highly recommend Cobra grips. They are sold on Amazon. They're like 40-ish US dollars. They are absolutely worth it. Okay. And they have a vegan Cobra grips, so they don't use real leather. They use like I don't know what they use. Suede and something else, but all like vegan. Highly recommend for things like chin-ups and pull-ups, and also your deadlifts and your rows. Okay. So while it is great to build your capacity for gripping heavy weight, okay, you have to do that. You have to eventually get to the point where you can grip something very heavy, where Cobra grips are not going to be conducive to that. But during a shred, you are going to need all the help you can get when you start getting super depleted. And then if you haven't built up your grip strength, just in general, okay? So don't be afraid to use the Cobra grips or any kind of grip aid that you need, but just know that, as we hope you all are going to do, make this a lifestyle thing, not this program, but just the lifestyle of lifting and staying active like this. You do want to consider not always maybe relying on Cobra grips so that you can have the chance to. So what I do is I have my pull-up bar right here in my closet, and every single day, twice a day minimum, sometimes more than that, because it feels so darn good, I hang from the bar. Okay, I do a passive hang and an active hang. So passive hang is just complete like dead hang. So your lats are just, everything's like super relaxed, and you're dead hanging and you're just for dear life as long as you can, slow breaths. And then active hang is you're pulling your shoulder blades like down and squeezing them together. So it's like a tight squeeze, and then you're hanging like that. So instead of dead hang like that, it's active like this. So both ways are fine, right? They work for different reasons, but you are working on your grip strength. So maybe you guys can maybe end your workouts with some like bar hangs for like 5 seconds, whatever you can do. And that's helping. Not only does it help stretch your lats back out and all of your back muscles, and it helps decompress your spine, which is why I do it. And it's amazing for my handstands, but it's going to get those wrists and that grip strength where it needs to be. And that's going to make it more comfortable for you guys just to lift heavy in general with anything. Okay. So dun, dun, dun. CML says maybe a system where questions to the coaches are in all caps and communication between. So yeah, it's not even that I can't see who's talking to who, but it's because I can, if I don't scroll down my chat, it'll pause at the very last question that I did. But then when you guys are answering and adding more to the chat, it won't scroll for me to see those unless I manually do it. So what's happening is I am pausing it at my question so I don't miss any more, but like you guys are, which is great. I want you guys to do that, like helping each other and answering and talking to each other and stuff. And I just don't see it until I start scrolling again. So yeah, but thank you for, I mean, we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll ask some of the coaches, maybe if they do something different, but let's see. Oh, a lady at the gym said Versa grips were best, but oh yeah, Versa grips, Cobra grips, they're literally exactly the same thing. They're exactly the same. Yeah. So that's totally fine. Any kind of grip system that you guys want to use is perfect. I mean, you know, they all do the same thing. Let's see. Alyssa, just want to make sure I understand correctly. It's okay to skip a meal and have a protein shake instead, as long as the macros are as close as possible, even if it means 2 shakes in a row. It's totally fine. However, I would caution you to be ready for the fact that the protein shakes are not going to make you as full as an actual meal. So potentially, if you're doing something like that, you may notice that you're more hungry that day. And that's just because it digests so much quicker than actual food, and you're not getting the chewing, and you're not getting, so all of that. But then also I would say, like, for those who do have to skip a meal and they end up replacing with a protein shake, just be aware of the reasons why you're doing that, and try to make sure that you're not altering the meal plan too frequently, because we get into the habit of altering the meal plan. And then it turns out that we're doing all these extra things that aren't originally on the meal plan. And we don't notice that we're doing that. And then we have like this rogue meal plan. And then it ends up being very different from what was written. And it could potentially affect your results in that way. But if it's every so often because scheduling conflicts and something just happened and life got in the way and things like that, totally fine. Totally fine. Great question. How long before bed should we stop eating? You can literally eat in your sleep. Doesn't matter. Okay. Like, I'm serious. Like, I always eat right before I hit the bed, because I am like, I can't stand waking up in the middle of the night and like being hungry. Oh my God. Cause I will get up in the middle of the night and go to the fridge and start eating. I don't care. Like, I am not a person who can sleep when they're hungry. So, and it doesn't affect me. Like, I don't gain weight from it. It's not just me being like, oh, me, I don't gain weight. Like, there's nothing out there to support the fact that eating before bed. Now, here's the thing, eating before bed could slow down your digestion. And for some people, that would make it hard for them to sleep. So in that sense, just listen to your body and see how your body is responding to how close that you eat before bed. But in terms of like, your body needs that food to recover. Like, that is helping, that paired with your sleep are coming together and they're helping you recover. So don't ever be afraid. For when you're living an active lifestyle like this and you eat before bed, you need it. So don't be afraid. It's not going to mess up. Just pay attention to if it does affect your sleep. We don't want you to do anything that's going to make it harder for you to sleep. But some people sleep so much better. Like me, I sleep so much better when my stomach is full right before bed, and I will not wake up until it's time to wake up the next morning. And it's glorious, but not everybody's like that. So, but in terms of your body and your results and this program, it's absolutely fine to eat right before bed. Ruby says, sometimes I do eat in my sleep and find broccoli on my counters. Okay, I don't know if I'd be eating broccoli in my sleep though, because the gas that would ensue at that point when everything is slowing down, girl, you're brave. But seriously, you guys can do it. It's totally fine to do that. Don't be afraid. Remember, you guys are athletes, and athletes eat whenever the heck they can eat. Like, they eat and they eat all day long. And they sometimes, actually bodybuilders, like when they're preparing for competition, because like, especially the men, because they have such a high calorie intake requirement, they schedule like I don't recommend this obviously for obvious reasons, but they actually schedule their alarm clock all throughout the night as if they were like mothers, like needing to nurse their babies, like get up and like eat and then go back to bed and then get up in another couple hours and eat, because they can't cram all of the calories in. I mean, because these men are huge. Like, they may need 4,000 calories a day. How are they going to get all that in? So some of them do. They have to wake up in the middle of the night and eat. And you have not seen a fat bodybuilder, have you? I mean, maybe in their off season, but like, so you are athletes, and you're as active as a real athlete. So you guys are athletes. You're living an athlete lifestyle. So you have to eat like one, which means eat. Just eat, girls, eat and enjoy it now, because once that later half of the program starts kicking in, you're going to be like, I will do anything to get some food. Oh, Ruby says, well, I don't smell it. That's a good point. That's because if you're sleeping, you ain't smelling it. So I feel bad for who's ever laying next to you, if anybody, and if not, even better, because you know what, like, listen, I have to tell you guys something. In the first shred that I ever did, okay, some of you guys already know this story. I'll tell you real quick and then we'll head out. I had the worst gas ever because I had just gone vegan for the first time. And I normally never did that much protein powder or fiber, right, from the vegetables. So like all these new things were happening, and these beans, and I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I would go out to my car because I didn't want my husband to smell it, right? I don't fart in front of my husband, by the way. This is a whole other like hilarious conversation. I have known him since 2008. I have never once farted in front of him ever. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I would have like this worst, I would get up and go out to the car, and I would let it rip in the car, and then I would slam the door, and then I would run back in the house because I didn't want it attached to my clothes. Because then I'm like, if it's attached to my clothes, he's going to know that I did it, right? Like, he's going to know. So I can't have it attached to my clothes. So I had to close the door and then run. And so I can't, oh my gosh. Oh, that's my dog. I was like, oh, that's my husband coming in. He found my secret. He heard the secret. No, but I'm very weird. I can't fart in front of my husband. I can't do it. So that shred, it really set me straight. I was like, oh man, I can't like, and then I would blame it on my dog sometimes, but then it would be like obvious after a while because he'd like rarely fart. So now all of a sudden he's farting when I'm doing a shred. Like that doesn't make any sense. Oh my gosh. Oh, Lisa says we've been together since 2001 and we don't do that in front of each other either. I have found my girl. I swear, like everybody thinks it's so weird that I don't fart. I'm like, I like physically can't let, it's like, he wouldn't care. Like he wouldn't like make fun of me or anything, but like, I cannot do it. I don't know. Oh, Lisa says not weird. It's common decent. Yeah. I don't like when he farts in front of me. I mean, I don't care. I don't like say anything, but like, it's just gross to me. So I think probably because of that reason, I'm like, well, I don't want to, and then I don't know. I just can't, but I'll go out to my car real fast and slam that door. And I just remember this is being recorded and this is just fabulous because it's going to be on forevermore. The secret is out. It's okay. Everybody farts, but I just find it hilarious that I would have to like trap it. I would like trap it in the car and like, don't get it on my clothes. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye until tomorrow. I swear I should write a book. It's just so sometimes the things. Yeah, Ruby says the more air outside than inside. Exactly. That is true. I mean, you have to let it. It's not good to hold it in. You got to let it out. But I'm like, who's Lisa's like, that was the best. I'm dying. I love you girls. Thank you for letting me share my weirdness and thank you for continuing to partake in the weirdness. I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Mwah. Have an awesome day or night. Bye.